Welcome to The Cut, a series where I'm talking to experts about how small changes can have a big impact on patient outcomes after surgery. Ridian.
Kylie.
How are you?
I'm good. Lovely to meet you at last.
I know, finally.
I know, like we've talked for years
Ever.
online.
Virtual space.
It's good to be in the same room as you.
Absolutely, likewise.
Thank you.
It's great to have the opportunity to chat to you today about surgeons.
You don't talk about surgeons. They're boring, they're egotistical, they're hard work.
No, they're not.
Some are, some aren't. I think it's very easy to characterize surgeons as this two-dimensional being. But, you know, we behave like that sometimes. And I think we should constantly strive to be a little bit more self-aware. You know, it's the big thing, isn't it? It's about me, the surgeon. And I've got this theatre and I'm doing this great case and I've got all these people come to see me and, you know, that's great. It's a little massage to the ego. If we dare forget it's about the patient, we're in trouble.
I know, and particularly when it comes to incision management, it's always been the bastion of nursing in some cases.
Oh, completely. And surgeons, they'll make the cut, they'll do the sexy implant bit in the middle and then they walk away. Somebody else closes, somebody else put the dressing on and, you know, that may work. But I don't think it's the best standard of care. If your name's above the bed, you know, you should own that patient from the pre-op period through the operation, through the post-op. And I don't think anyone's any more important than the other. You know, it's the whole continuum of care that matters.
So should surgeons be making the decisions or should it be shared or should it be nurses? It's a pointy question, isn't it?
It's a good question because I certainly know a lot of nurses who know a lot more about dressings than we do. But you know, I think the sort of Scandinavian team-based principle, I think, is the best way. And as you know, we've done meetings for surgeons regionally all over the world, and everybody's a little bit different, aren't they?
They are.
And I think in the UK we tend to delegate and leave somebody else do it. Scandinavian's far more team-based. Other parts of the world, it's a top-down didactic thing, which again, if you choose well, could work. But you tend to end up not making changes, not making improvements, because we've always done it that way, so why change?
I've seen one, I've done one. That's a master-apprentice model, isn't it? It's like, that's how I was taught.
It works for me.
But when we're trying to do change, and change management in particular, particularly with surgeons, tell me, what are the tips? How should you go about it?
Oh, God, so that's a great question. And unfortunately, there's no one answer, because surgeons are different. You know, some people are open to change and they're constantly trying to get these marginal gains in their practice. Others are so keen to maintain everything they've done for many years without change that they won't countenance any improvement, any change in what they've done, because they've always done it. And do you know what? They don't get any problems. Well, listen, I've been a surgeon long enough to know we all get problems. And until you start recognizing that there are ways of improving patient care at all levels, you're never going to start that journey of marginal gains, improved dressing care, improved patient outcomes. And that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about the patient.
It is about the patient. And it's about small steps you can take. But what do you do when you're faced with the difficult surgeon who won't listen?
That's an oxymoron, difficult surgeon? No. Yes, and we all have that potential. Again, you need to know the personality, and if it's a colleague, you need to work out whether they are a colleague that will listen to you and you can show them what you're doing. You should certainly always give them the research that's out there, and there's plenty of research, plenty more needs doing, but there's enough evidence out there over many years that can and should change our practice now to something more advanced. But I think with surgeons, it's a constant engagement. I don't think you'll ever get a light bulb moment with them. You need to drip feed them and just keep nudging them in the right direction. I think we talked earlier about who comes to our meetings and our talks, you know, and the guys in the audience are generally the ones who are engaged. It's the surgeons who never come to meetings who I worry about more, because they're not engaged at any level. They're sticking to what they're doing and they don't want to improve. They're just good, thank you. And they may be, but you show me a surgeon who can't get better, and you know, he doesn't exist. We can all improve.
Yeah, I mean, it's about learning and education, isn't it? And funnily enough, why is that we don't have enough wound care education in the medical curriculum?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, we did a study in the UK recently showing that only 6% of med students get any teaching on wound care, not the physiology of wound healing. We know how the wound's meant to heal, What happens after an incision? What happens with chronic wounds? What happens with dressings, negative pressure? All the major advances we've done in the last few years in wound care, they're not getting taught that at all. It's crazy.
Why? That's the question.
Because I'm not in charge, I think.
I think that's probably why,
Yeah.
Ridian.
Let's be honest, I'm new to the game. You know, I've been a surgeon for many years, but it's really the last 5 to 10 years I've properly engaged with dressings and the wound because I was so busy doing the other stuff, the sexy stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And coming fairly late in my career to the understanding it is and never was about me. It was always about the patient, and so you do the best for the patient, including the best dressing. And I think we're all guilty of being so busy sometimes doing the job, we forget to stop and reflect and look at the research and look for improvements we can add to our practice. But it's not just med students, it's trainees. It may be the older surgeons, with a few exceptions, are a little bit lost. You know, maybe the best thing for them is to continue what they're doing, as long as it's not harmful. But the younger consultants, certainly the trainees and medical students, they all need access to education. And from a UK perspective, I think it'll be a long time before the university sector really picks up on it. So maybe we as surgeons, as healthcare clinicians, working with industry, need to produce programs, produce education materials and make sure they have access to it. You know, I think your work you done on IceCap is a fine example of that, where all the material's free to access. We've got to go and bang the drum and say, look, you've got to read this stuff. You need to know about this. It's important.
I think the other thing too is that surgeons, like pretty much everyone else these days, are time poor. So if you're making educational resources, they have to be succinct, easy to access, and free in some cases.
Completely. And you just need little snippets. You need little,
right.
bite-sized little chunks they can take away. And then if they're interested enough, they'll go and look at the papers and look at the research and critique them if they feel it's that important. But there is so much work, good work going on out there, and you and I have been part of this. We've tried our best to produce material that is easy to access and easy to understand. But we need to make it a high-profile piece. You know, people need to know it's out there. And I think my mission over the next few years is to completely bang that drum as often as I can, as loudly as I can.
Fantastic. Likewise. Ridian, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me today on The Cut.
Look forward to the next time.